There we go. Thanks, son.
Well, I'll go into slideshow mode. Can you confirm you can see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So feel free to interrupt or have questions as I'm going through. But I'd like to give a brief overview of our thinking behind what we wanted to do as part of this work stream, what we have done so far, and what we have in the pipeline. If there are things that you'd like to see included here, or if you'd like to join, most welcome. But right now we are moving forward with some of the things that we definitely have to do, that we've identified, and we look at some things that we were able to do as well. So initially for this, actually, let me go one slide further as well. When we wanted to revive this workstream, platform quality and security workstream, earlier there were security architects, dedicated security architects who were leading the workstream and doing that work, but it went into kind of a dormant stage for a bit. But then we've realized that we needed to revive this because there were some issues. And then when we revived it in PI 23, there were some goals we started off with. No surprise, obviously, but we wanted to do the hardening of module releases. Hardening in the sense that addressing any technical debt, known issues, and ensure that they can be maintained easily, various aspects of that. Obviously, the area of module loop, the surface area, is sufficiently bigger than we're comfortable with. So we try to address as many issues as possible and mature gradually. And one of the things we wanted to do was the security testing of module loop. So there are two primary areas we've identified for a module loop surface area. One is the finance portal side of it, like the hub operations, the backend operations. The other one is the transactional side, of course. And I think on the transactional side, we had a good confidence because we have some penetration testing done by adopters. So at module loop itself, at an open source software level, it doesn't apply, but for deployments that was done, and we've learned from that. But we want, there was never before PA 23 or 22 testing done on the finance portal side. So that is one thing we wanted to do. And we wanted to review the core, module loop core and code base that is shipped with our platform services, module loop platform, and look at tightening things up there. And then look at any technical debt and quality related issues as well. So those are things we started off with. We had some bonus or extended goals as well, but wanted to get the basics and fundamentals, issues that we already know, address those, and then move forward into better things and be prepared for the future, where we need minimal maintenance on module loop services, and future teams that are developing services already have a good mechanism of automated tools and processes using which they can make new releases and address any issues that come up as well. Okay, let me continue. So the security testing of module, we had Scilab team. I presented this at the last PI community event. Security testing of the finance portal was done, and we've looked at the issues. They had some recommendations around keeping the services up to date and configuration details for production deployments. But generally, the review was positive and highlighted some aspects of module loop that were well done in terms of security and quality perspective as well. So that was done, the green tick marks there. And then at the beginning of this PI, we wanted to do, was discussing with product council, Paul, and the other teams as well. And if you were on other calls, you'd probably be hearing this multiple times, but I wanted to do a module loop release for three main things: the merchant payments, security related updates, and then performance enhancements. So as part of that, we took the opportunity to tighten up our module core repositories from this aspect, item number 3 here, with regards to dependable alerts that GitHub provides. And then Snake tool is a tool that previous PQS teams have deployed, have added to module loop, which is now automated as well. And it looks for more security issues beyond what dependable does as well. And then we also wanted to catch up on technical data, any PRs that are in progress without being closed, Node.js versions for any services that are not upgraded, that was done. So these kinds of things, the tick marks here are the ones for those that are completed. Item number 3 is still a bit in progress for some of the supporting services, and those will be rolled out with the upcoming module release. And the other items that do not have the tick marks are actually in progress. I'm surprised that we've covered everything here. We are looking at updating our maintenance tooling like license scaler and some tools that we use, which help with the pull request reviews that run automation on our contributions as well. So those are in progress, but otherwise we've finished a good amount of this. So this was what we started off with, and then in PI 24, we wanted to, this is a subset of our initial goal set as well. So here we wanted to look at the GitHub side of things of our repositories, tighten up a bit more and address quality security issues. And we wanted to also look at getting an open SSF badge for Moduloop. We follow most of those things. So once the current release is done, we'll move into the next goals here. So let me move to what we are doing for the Moduloop module. So the current Moduloop release that is latest is V16.00, a Moduloop Congo, and we have an ISC corresponding to that, which is now running on our dev queue environments and is looking stable. And then this is about the upcoming release where we wanted to have those 3 items. And as part of this, these are some of the things that we wanted to do on every core service and repository. So we wanted to look at the security issues and do patches from Dependabot and Snake, and some quality gates around our main branches as well. I'm sure main branches are protected. Collaborator list is up to date. Looking at pull requests, audit exceptions that we are giving, where we tell our tools to ignore those, but now reviewing those to ensure that the list is minimal. And even for the exceptions, we have a good justification of why that is an exception, like if it is only related to our testing libraries, those kind of things. We also looked at the code owners and closing any issues on the repository themselves. So also other things that are not related to the release, but between Moduloop Congo and the next release, these are things that are constantly in progress and we address all the time, is taking necessary actions for Moduloop services. If there is a new vulnerability that comes up in GitHub repository, GitHub vulnerability database, or the national vulnerability database, and other related, for example, if we hear a news about, recently we heard about a vulnerability in tar XZ library or executable or package as well. And we looked at our Moduloop services or ISC, how we are impacted. And we also are prepared to give guidance for adopters to mitigate any exposure to those vulnerabilities, but focusing on Moduloop services. And even in case where Moduloop services are not directly involved, we were prepared with the messaging around what we need to give for our adopters to not be impacted or minimize the impact for those. So these are some things that we are doing currently, and some of these things will continue as part of this work stream in the future as well. This is an activity, software bill of materials for Moduloop. So this is something we wanted to do this PI as well. And we're just getting started on this. So we have one contributor who recently joined us. We've collaborated with someone called Samagra as a mentoring program. Like we have 3 people joining us, Moduloop community, as part of that, working on 3 different areas of Moduloop. And one of those is platform quality and security, as well as part of maintaining Moduloop GitHub assets. So this is something that we wanted to do to understand Moduloop's dependencies, all of the open source libraries that we use, which service consists of which libraries, and then have a database or a table with each of these library, their license, their patch status, so that it gives us the capability to react quickly when a vulnerability comes up, or when, let's say, libraries are not maintained anymore or deprecated. So we can quickly address that. So this is something we wanted to do through the DA as well. We already have a proposal. I'll share that with the DA, but the goal here is that for every core Moduloop repository, we know what all dependencies are involved and their status. Then we can have confidence that there are no license related issues, that everything is compatible with our primary license Apache 2.0. And then there are no maintenance issues as well. Like some of the libraries, as part of our recent exercise, we noticed that they are not maintained for a few years. So we've migrated them to other libraries which are more recent and actively maintained, those kind of things. And this will give us a good picture or visibility into all those kinds of things. So it makes maintenance easier. It makes us compliant to licenses and other local regulations more easier, and it gives us the capability to react quickly when our vulnerability comes up. So that's what we're doing here, and want to again automate this process so that manual intervention is minimal. So my goal, my thinking currently is that, let's say we do a release of Mojo Loop Central Ledger, for example, or MLA Adapt or account lookup service. Then we have a CI job, a continuous integration and deployment job that generates the output by analyzing our repository. We have a couple of tools that we like already. I think it's SPDX and Cyclone DX. We look at those. They're not finalized, but we're considering those. That'll give us the output, and then it might be packaged with the release itself, or we'll host it on a, let's say AWS or something as HTML page or CSV, so that we have visibility into what are all the libraries that are included in this particular release at the release level of repositories, but also at Mojo Loop level, so that, let's say someone wants to do an audit of their own Mojo Loop deployment, they already have the list of Mojo Loop services that are there in the core, and the additional work that they'll need to do will be limited to any value-added services or customized components that they've developed. So making maintenance for them, for Mojo Loop's adopters, easier as well, and giving capacity for them to respond quickly as well. So this is something we just started off with. And if you have inputs, please let me know as well. And by the end of this P, I think we'll have a good structure here for this. Apart from this, this is not directly done as part of this platform quality and security workstream, but I wanted to list here. There is a guidance provided. Now we formalize a lot of processes as well. James, Paul, and some contributors were involved in some of these. So we have Mojo Loop invariants finally documented and merged into main branches on Mojo Loop. Earlier, it was there in a PDF form, but it went through a thorough review at the DA, and it was open for the community input. And now it's merged into main branch. So it defines several aspects like operational design and other aspects of Mojo Loop's platform and design principles. And then there is a coordinated vulnerability disclosure policy for Mojo Loop on how to handle alerts or vulnerabilities in Mojo Loops, like how do we report them, what are the timelines, all those details are captured here, and guidance is provided, and what the security team will be doing in the background as well. And then Mojo Loop's cybersecurity architecture, how Mojo Loop handles security provided by Paul and James is up on the docs website here as well. And then there's also guidance around how to move from, so this can be helpful for work streams, and some of the work streams already used it. Let's say you're a feature team working on a particular feature. How do you deliver your functionality, but also how do you take it from for beta quality to release quality? What are the steps, quality gates, and what are the tasks that are necessary to ensure that they meet that release quality bar for Mojo Loop? And then other Mojo Loop standards around how do you raise a pull request, how do you contribute, and all those are listed here. So here are some things that we formalized in the last two PIs, PI 23 and 24. And these help in addressing some of the open issues that were there earlier as well. Even though it was there in like colloquial form, people knew as part of a traditional culture, but now these are formalized and included in our docs here. Let me take a pause there. I've been continuing for a bit. Paul, anything you want me to expand on, or any questions, or can I go into the roadmap?
No, I think you should carry on. I think this is really useful. So I'm finding it very interesting anyway. So please carry on.
Thank you. Yeah, hearting of Mojo Loop release, want to continue that. With 16.10, we would have increased the bar on quality for Mojo Loop releases, and want to go even higher. So Sonar Cloud, I really like this tool. Want to take that more seriously moving forward and create issues. So Sonar Cloud gives us a good understanding and insight into the code and vulnerabilities, quality, maintenance issues, those kind of things as well. So want to look at that. I would like to, after this slide deck is done, Paul, if looks like we have some time. So I'd like to go to Central Ledger repository, Sonar cloud web page, and show how things look like as well.
I
To
think
give
that'd be great. Yeah, please.
cool. So we want to do that, take those issues more seriously so that maintenance and becomes easier, and we also harden our module releases even more. And we're also looking to improve our tooling used in CI/CD. I'm actually now working on one of the audit scan tool that we use, which was so we had some vulnerability information for older images, Node 12, Alpine images, but for Node 18 and 319, the latest ones that we use, we don't have vulnerability information. So our tools need some upgrade. So we're looking at that license checker. So we have tooling around these, but we need to upgrade that. They've not been maintained. I mean, we did not need too much maintenance, but we'd like to make sure they're up to date and use the latest configuration, latest releases of, or the tools that we depend on as well, like Anchor and things like that. We also want to continue pursuing that open SSF badge as well, which gives us, regulators and other adopters also a good understanding, or a good impression of where we are as Mojaloop, that we have the quality gates necessary to be certified by groups like this one. And we also want to do some more work around improving the documentation around security, writing some specific blog posts on what are the various security measures that we have in Mojaloop. As part of layered security, we have about 15 to 20 measures that we use. Um, some of those that we've covered here, like Dependabot Snake, and many of the tools on the transactional side of Mojaloop as well. So want guidance. So these are things we want to continue. Feel free to add more. So we have a weekly call for this platform quality and security work stream. On Thursdays, we have some people who join. We have some lively calls in the past. So if you'd like to join those calls, please let me know and I'll add you there. But even if not, if you have any offline recommendations, please share those as well. And I'll be happy to include those in our roadmap, especially welcome any contributions in this area. Let me show you a central ledger repository. Give me one moment. I'll share my screen, and I would like to show you a sample story of what we are doing as part of this PI. So for Mojaloop's next release, for example, this is a sample story that represents the tasks we've done. This is what we covered in the deck as well. So every repository in our Mojaloop release, so we have let me go to the Mojaloop version 16 release, and here you can see all the application versions in section 3 that are used in Mojaloop. So we have about 22 here. Not all of them are part of our transactional. Some of them are supporting services. Some of our really core services, like as you know, central ledger coding, account lookup, a transaction request, and MLAP adapter. Others are used for testing. So for every one of these services, we want to look at all these aspects, like addressing security alerts, dependabot alerts, security around bean branches, how pull requests are raised, what are the validations needed for that, what are the audit exceptions that are already provided, and how do we eliminate those, but only allow those that we're not worried about, like for libraries used in testing or linting, things like that, and ensuring some of the things are up to date as well, like code owners, issues, and pull requests are closed as well. Let's say I go to a central ledger repository. Let me go to a central ledger repository and show what I'm talking about. So this is an administrator view, but on any repositories that let's say you have admin rights on a repo, you can create a repo on GitHub with your ID, and then you can look at this. So you can see there are several security features on that GitHub itself provides. Recently, we've enabled these two, code scanning and secret scanning alerts. So code scanning, it uses tool called CodeQL, and it gives us alerts based on that. And then secret scanning, it scans pull requests and static scans the code as well. And it gives us alerts if any secret or password, those kind of things are included in contributions as well, and helps us block those because we don't want those on open repositories. So apart from that, these GitHub alerts. So we have about like 20 or 30 alerts open before this exercise, about 34 or something, and I've worked on fixing those. If you see here, some of them are categorized as critical, and high and moderate and low. We're able to close out all of those, but our goal is to clear out all moderate and high security alerts here so that we have no known vulnerabilities. For example, this was raised only 2 weeks ago in EJS, a library that we use. And another 2 weeks ago, there was another issue here as well, and these were fixed. Some were very old, like we were not prioritizing that before, but as part of this release, Modulo V1610, we took the opportunity to fix those and give a clean release for our upcoming in any upcoming release from now on. So that is one aspect. And if you see the pull requests, we had many pull requests open as well. We cleaned up. I was able to reach out to the owners in some cases, merge, close, and there are issues here as well that we want to look at and close out. There were 10 plus issues we closed out. And even in the settings, if you see the collaborators and teams, let me stop sharing for a bit and show this. So if you see, we only have we ensure like streamlined access, but I wanted to show this. So for any main branch, for example, our main branches are protected in that any commit to main branch needs a pull request, and it requires approval, and it requires approval of the latest push. It requires review from code owners, some status checks. For example, all these status checks, setup, test coverage, integration unit, audit licenses, all these need to be passed before any merges can be made, and conversations need to be resolved. So all these quality gates and measures help us make sure that have confidence that our branches are secured and there can be no unintentional or unmonitored commit made to our main branches, which can then leak or pass on to platform itself. One last thing, let me show Sonar Cloud and then I'll pass it on to Paul. So let's say we pick up Central Ledger. So it gives us a good overview of the quality gate. So Central Ledger, Sonar Cloud says it's passed. But then if you go into detailed analysis, it can also give us more insight into what can be done. For example, it already has a list of issues. So there are many issues that it reports saying these are like high, medium, low, and some of them are consistency, intentionality, some of them are for maintenance. So how do you maintain? It makes maintenance easier, and some of them are inconsistencies that it reports as well. There are some critical issues that it can report. For example, if there is an exposed password, even GitHub does that, but Sonar Cloud also shows it, and it can review and provide this input at the pull request stage itself. So if you go to Central Ledger, and if you see the pull request, for every pull request, let's say this is a new pull request that was just raised. So if you see this area, Sonar Cloud is already running on it, and it gives us a good confidence that from its perspective, the quality side of things is good. Like there are no new issues, no security hotspots, no duplication of code too much. So even without us manually looking at some of the deeper security issues, it already gives us a good understanding. Obviously, whoever is reviewing it need to look at the functional side of things, but it gives us a good analysis of the quality side of things. So let me stop there and
Thanks,
see
Sam.
any questions.
Thanks for that. It is really good. I'm so glad that you're doing this because nobody else has been doing it. It would appear for quite some time. So it's good to have all these issues being addressed. I noticed all those screen shares you just gave us. They're all around the central ledger. Can you reassure me that it applies to all the other repos as well?
Yeah, it applies to all
Yeah.
our core. So it applies to ML API adapter, account lookup, coding, transaction request service. But at this stage, at least for 16.10, I'm thinking that we'll not raise the bar that much for, let's say, some of the services we use are for testing, like there is a service simulator and testing toolkit. These just help with running our tests and providing simulation cases. So for those wouldn't be that strict, but services that are really necessary for onboarding and for transaction, transactional APIs, those are things we are very particular about. Yeah, so it's the same for all of these reports.
Absolutely. Unless, of
Yeah.
course, somebody subverts a testing tool and uses that against us in some way.
Yeah.
There is always that possibility.
Yeah, I mean, in production, I think what we should have some recommendations around that. It's a good point, and I would say they should test it initially or periodically and disable those services when not actively in testing phases.
Yeah, sure. Okay, one thing I wanted to ask is obviously through Product Council we have a whole bunch of work streams out there. Can the work stream lead start taking on some of this task from you? Do you think that's viable, or do you think the specialist knowledge is such that it needs to remain within the PQS work stream?
No, definitely. So I'm going to update our release documentation, and so that there was a post we did around uh, alpha beta quality to release quality. So there, I'd like to do another update. So we have version 1.0 on that. Now we'll have a 2.0 where we add this security and quality gates to that as well. So that is part of this plan as well. Once we do this release, I want to update our release documentation to include some of these quality gates as well. And um, that way we can have a more decentralized approach, and work streams are already taking care of that. And
Yeah.
the only maintenance we'll have to do is when they're already of release quality and all looking good, whatever alert comes up in the future, that is something we'll have to
Yes,
take care of.
maintenance issues beyond that. Yes, of course. But
Yep,
at the very least, that work stream leads need to be
exactly. But
acquainted
when the
with
delivery
this.
is made, the
Mm,
delivery is clean of all these
yeah,
issues, and there are just maintenance issues moving forward.
yeah. Okay, good. They were the only things I wanted to ask. Does anyone else have any questions? Anything they'd like to raise with Sam? No, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything in the chat either. Okay, fine. Good. Well, if there aren't any more questions, then I think that we're done for the day. So thank you, Sam. That was a good session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to remind again, we have a call on Thursdays at
Yep.
1 p.m. UTC. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll add you to that call.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Sam. Glad you got that in. Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you and goodbye, everyone. Till next week.
Thanks, everyone.